Hi there, and welcome to Motivational Moments Live with me, Belinda Wadu, your host. Now, before I get started, I just want to make sure that people know that I'm here. I have a really bad habit of not sharing in time on all the other platforms that we have indeed started. So if you are here with me and you would like to go ahead and share with your friends, your family, all of those with you in lockdown, please do go ahead and do so, and we'll get cracking. In the meantime, I'll just tell you a little bit more about Motivational Moments Live and what we are all about. Essentially, it's by Impart and Impact. Impart and Impact is in educational, business, and career consulting, all designed to ensure that you have all the tools required to do and achieve all your goals. And Motivational Moments Live is exactly to do that, to motivate and inspire you to do your very best. And today, like every other day when we meet, I have some really great topics for you. We will be talking about perseverance. We'll be talking about cultivating a heart of gratitude. And then we'll also be looking at adaptability. I felt that these topics were really important for the time that we're in now, where you get to a stage where you kind of find it very hard to see beyond where you are, and you feel like giving up on a lot of things that perhaps you've started, and it's very easy to sort of get into a mode where you're complaining, where you're moaning, where you're unhappy about, the state of affairs. So I thought these topics were really quite timely to ensure that, we are staying on track and that we understand and know that there is indeed a time beyond this where we will be able to continue on with our lives and do that which is required of us. So without further ado, we'll just get cracking. So perseverance. Perseverance is obviously, as most of you will know, the ability to keep on going until you're able to reach your goal, reach your destination, achieve what it is that you have set out to achieve. But we often maybe put certain people with perseverance. We assume that perseverance is only for, say, the sportswoman, who is doing the slow, long marathon run. They need to persevere, but not for the average individual, not for the average project. Perseverance might not necessarily matter, but I will say that that's where you are wrong. Perseverance is very important and it matters to all of us. And often we feel like perseverance only applies to people, who are very smart, and we think that those that are going to be successful are those that are very smart and witty and do very well in business, and have scored very high in their IQs and have done very well in their tests. Those are the people that are going to be successful. But often you will find that that is not the case. Of course, it's great to be intelligent. Of course, it's fantastic to do well in school, to do well at work. But you'll find that those that succeed are those who persevere. Those that succeed are those that really keep going no matter what comes their way. You might be extremely determined to achieve something, but even those that are determined to achieve something, when something else crosses their path or when they're distracted, you will find that they don't reach their end goal. But if you've put determination alongside with perseverance, you will definitely reach your end goal. You will definitely find yourself successful in reaching the destination and the goal that you have set out to be. Now, what does it mean to persevere, and how can we proceed in ensuring that we don't give up along the way? To persevere means that you keep pushing. You have the tenacity and you have the grit. For example, going back to those that do the marathons, you can be as fast as you want. You can be a Usain Bolt and really run extremely fast. But if you have the speed and you don't have the perseverance, you are not going to finish. Because as is said, the race is not for the swift. The race is for those who can keep going. The race is for those who can continue to persist in the midst of hearing no's all the time. People who keep going despite being disappointed time and time again. That is what it means to persevere. Even when people are telling you that you can't do it, you don't have the ability, you don't have the resource, you proceed and you persevere on, knowing very well that the outcome or where you will end is going to be greater than where you are starting off. It's hard sometimes because indeed, we often face many oppositions. If the race was easy, if we could just sort of, bobble along and know that we will get there, everyone would be able to do it. But unfortunately, we're met with many obstacles. Those obstacles come in the form of hearing no's. Those obstacles come in the form of people telling you that you can't do it. Those obstacles come in the form of suddenly, finding that you don't have the resource to complete what you have started. But yet, you decide that no, I am going to persevere. Those obstacles come in the form of reaching a roadblock. You're running, you're racing, you're doing really well, your stamina is going well, but all of a sudden here you are and you're faced with a roadblock. What am I going to do? Am I going to just say, oops, there we go, the race is over, I can't continue? Or are you going to actually try and find another way of getting to that end goal that you're trying to reach? It is so easy to say it, but doing it is a completely different thing. But if you know that you are aiming for success, if you know that the sky is only your beginning and not your end, you will find whatever it takes to ensure that you are persevering and that you are determined to get there. So there's two things you essentially need on your path to success. You need to ensure you are determined, and you need to ensure that you have a mindset and a willingness to persevere. Every day you wake up, you're going to tell yourself, what can I do today that is going to take me a step further than where I was yesterday? What can I try and do today that is going to ensure that I am moving away from where I was yesterday? Everyone knows the story of the hare and the tortoise or the turtle, where the hare thought, I have the speed, I have speed. I can go so fast. There's no way this turtle can compete with me, because a turtle, as we all know, is as slow as can be. But speed was not what was needed to complete the race. Often we think that as long as I can do it quickly, as long as I can get there fast, then I can do it. But what we need is to actually take steady steps, ensuring that we're doing all the right things along the way, ensuring that we're taking all the right actions along the way, being kind to people along the way, asking the right questions along the way, building bridges rather than breaking bridges along the way to ensure that we are able to get there. Many people think, well, I'm just going to speed through that. I don't care who I hurt. I don't care what relationships I damage along the way. I don't care, whether I sort of study and do my best, but rather cheat to get to the top. And you'll find that maybe you feel like you are getting there, but your bottom is much closer to you than the top. And then the sad thing is you have to pass all the people that you have destroyed, all the relationships you have killed, to reach the bottom, thinking that you were ahead, not really understanding that the people that you needed to take along with you, the people that needed to push you, are now the relationships that you have destroyed. And you have no way of coming back from that, because what's ruined is what's ruined. So it's not about how fast you are. It's not even about how clever you are. It's not about, who what you know. It's about how well you persevere in that journey, how well you keep going in that journey, how much you keep saying to yourself that no matter what I face, I am going to keep pushing forward. A great example of that is a woman in labor. If I have women here who have had babies, you all know that along the way, you want to give up. It's painful. It's horrible. You just want to give up. You don't want to go through with this. But you know that if you persevere, what you're going to meet at the end of all that pain, at the end of all that hurting and pushing and huffing and puffing, is more beautiful than anyone can ever describe to you. So we keep going. We keep pushing. We keep huffing and puffing. We keep crying. We keep yelling, but we persevere on. That is an awesome example of perseverance. And that is what we all have to do, no matter what it is that you're working on. If it is, trying to get to the end of your degree, if it's trying to work on that project that is just so hard, if it's trying to essentially do well at your work and get that promotion that you've been desiring for so long, that is what we have to do in order to persevere. It's tough. I know. You're saying, well, you make it sound so easy, but you don't know what I've been through. You don't know what I'm currently going through. I understand. We've all been through our fair share of tough times. We've all been through our fair share of opposition, but you have to keep pushing. You have to keep persevering. It's tough, but keep pushing. Every day, have in mind that you're going to do one small thing. It doesn't have to be a thing that conquers the world. It doesn't have to be a thing that changes the whole face of how, life is. But one small thing that's going to get you, excuse me, pardon me, that's going to get you to that end goal. It's hard, I know. It is hard. But say to yourself that I can do it. Recently, I've gotten into the habit of journaling. So I've got these amazing books that make it really easy to just kind of make notes and think positively and set targets. And sometimes that's the help that you need. That might not be what you need, but I recognize that it's a bit hard. We're all sort of in lockdown and it's hard to kind of think through things. So you need something that's going to edge you on. You need something that's going to give you a little bit of a push. So every morning when I wake up, I start writing down, what are the 3 things that will make my day a success today? What kind of targets will I set for myself to see myself reaching a particular goal? And then at the end of the day, you have to come back and write, okay, what made today such a great day? What can you do to improve upon tomorrow? You don't need a special book. I mean, you can just sort of write this down for yourself. You don't need a special book to tell you this. But I would strongly encourage us to persevere on. Is it your child that you're trying to homeschool? You're trying to teach your child to read. You're trying to teach a child basic concept of maths and they're not getting it. And it's frustrating. They give you a headache, but you persevere on. You keep pushing. You have to keep pushing. It's talking about children. There's no one more strong-willed than my daughter Zamora. She can really, she's amazing, she's lovely, but she can really grind my gears. When I deliberately want to teach her something, she's got my personality, and she's got a mix of me and her dad, which I don't even know how we've gotten this far. But if she doesn't want to sit down and do what you're asking her to do, she won't. And she will act as if she gave birth to you. And I get frustrated with her because I see myself in her and I'm like, ah! But I have to have a go at her or take a moment out and say, and we will argue like 2 adults, I'll be telling her, Samora, who do you think you are? No, you are not going to be the boss of me and we're not doing this and you will listen to mommy and blah, blah, blah. And she'll have a go right back at me. And then we both need to take some time out and then we'll come back. And then it's like, okay, breathe. Let's try again. Let's find a different way to approach this because obviously what we're trying to do here is not working. And that's, for me and her, that's how we have to do it. And we essentially go through this almost every day, regardless of the task we're undertaking, whether it's a sort of, ABC learning task or whether it's a cooking task. We just are loggerheads, but we have to persevere because I have a certain goal in mind for what I want my daughter, my children to achieve. And I can't give up on that. Imagine as parents if we just sort of gave up on everything we're trying to get our children to achieve. We wouldn't get anywhere, and we would be just having reckless societies all around us because we were not persevering in parenthood. So I mean, that's one of the examples. It doesn't have to be for the businessman, the businesswoman. It doesn't have to be for the person going to school. It can be in your day to day life where you're facing instances where you're having to persevere. But I would just say keep pushing, keep going, stay motivated, stay inspired. And remember that it's not about how clever you are. It is not about how much money you have, how much resources you have available and access that you have access to. It's about ensuring that no matter what comes your way, that you are determined to keep going. It's about ensuring that you know it's not about speed. So often these days, we live in a generation where we see so much around us. All you have to do, everything is a click away. So you click and you see someone, has gone on another holiday. You click and you see someone's bought a house. You click and you see this person has this and this person has that, and you're thinking, what is wrong with me? And why can't I achieve that? But the truth is, you don't know what that woman has gone through to get to where she is. You don't know how many no's that person has had to receive before they got that first yes. But we're only seeing the output. We're only seeing the glamorous part of what people are displaying. And we think that there is something wrong with us. But what it takes is perseverance. It doesn't take shortcuts. It doesn't take trying to, beat this person to it. It doesn't take, everybody thinks that they have to compete with someone. That's not what it is. It's just ensuring that you're a better version of yourself today than what you were yesterday. So no matter what you face, persevere. There is no one better at perseverance than a child. If you need a really good example of perseverance, look at children and how they behave. Mommy, can I have it? Can I have it? Can I have it? You say, no, you can't. No, you can't. And they will keep coming back and asking you until they break you and you give them what it is that they are asking for. Children make a really great example of perseverance. And they essentially, especially when they're with their parents, especially when they're, say, with their grandparents, they won't take no for an answer. They will keep pushing. Sometimes you need to do some negotiating. Okay, if you do the dishes, then you can have this. Look at the speed in which they'll go do the dishes. And we miss out on that simplicity. We kind of forget that it requires an exchange. And that exchange to grown-ups is a sacrifice. To be able to get to where we want to get to, we have to sacrifice on a lot of things. You need to lose weight. Actually, literally, I need to lose weight, I've had my baby for a few months now. I need to lose weight. Wishing it is not going to get me there. The mere thought of having to start running and skipping and press-ups and sit-ups gives me a complete headache. I'm not going to lie. I'd much rather use that small free time that I'm going to get when the kids fall asleep in doing something that I actually enjoy. But if I want to get to the end result of being the size that I have in my mind, it will require work. And you need to persevere through it. You can't say, okay, I'm working out for 5 minutes now, and then, go back to sitting there and eating 2 bags of crisp. You need to persevere. This is going to be something that's going to take weeks and months, and you have to completely change your mindset and your way of doing things, but knowing that when I keep persevering, I will get to that end result. I watched a very interesting show yesterday called Britain's Fattest People. And there was a young lady, 24 years of age, with 2 kids. Maybe some of you watched it too, those of you that are in England. She has 2 kids, and they call her extremely over morbidly obese. 24 years of age. Her BMI is completely off the chart. She weighed something like 23 stones. She was huge, and it just happened in a short space of time, where stress and feeling depressed and, not being able to effectively control her emotions and the way she was feeling led her to overeating. So now she's in a situation where every time she wants to do anything with her young children, I think one might be 3, one might be 2, she's exhausted. She's been told that her life expectancy has gone way down. It's been shortened by something like 10 years. And if she wants to continue living, if she wants to stay free of diabetes, if she wants to stay free of all these heart diseases, heart attack, she needs to lose weight. And she wants to go on to having a gastric band. To be able to even get the gastric band, she needs to lose weight. So she's gone from someone who's eating takeaways, piling it on, eating whatever she wants, chocolates, whatever, to having to discipline herself and persevere. She had 1 month, I believe, something like 3 to 4 weeks to go back for her surgery. And that 3 to 4 weeks, she had to lose 1 stone. Now, it was hard. She cried constantly her first few days, I think even beyond a week. She was always crying. She was miserable. She was unhappy. Life didn't even seem worth living because all she could think of was eating the things that she enjoys. But now she's stuck having to eat a tiny salad, having to eat 1 apple, having to eat all these things that just doesn't make sense to her. But she persevered. And by the time she went back to the surgeon for her results as to whether she could go ahead with the surgery or not, she had lost over a stone. She had lost like 1.5 stone. Now that is what perseverance can do. Now we're not necessarily talking about, weight loss, but I'm giving you an example to show you that perseverance is the difference between failure and success. Perseverance and determination is the difference between regret and success. You don't want to live a life of regret. You don't want to be sitting there saying you wish you did this. You wish you had done that. You can be the difference between wishing and wanting by simply persevering. Simply persevering. So no matter what you are facing, no matter what you are up against, say to yourself that I can do it. I am going to give myself that one little extra push to ensure that I am further today than where I am yesterday. Set yourself targets and let those targets be realistic. Don't put things on your plate. Don't say to yourself that you want to lose 1 stone of weight, for example, in 3 days, because that is unrealistic. That will end you in a hospital. That is not achievable. Right? So you want to make sure that you are setting yourself achievable targets. You might want to say that, okay, today I am staying away from this particular type of food and I'm going to go for a walk. That's how I'm going to start the process. Tomorrow, I want to be a step further than I was yesterday. So I'm cutting out this other type of food on top of what I cut out yesterday. And I'm going to go for a mild jog. And you build on that and you build on that by you setting yourself targets. And every day you're aiming to be further than where you were the day before. And you have to have an end goal in mind. You need to say to yourself, okay, this is what I'm going to do for the next 2-3 weeks. Whatever your target is, and then make sure that you take the required steps to get there every single day. And I guarantee you, if you persevere, if you are determined, you will definitely get there. I know you can. I believe in you, and I know you can get there. I know you can. Do you believe you can? I mean, it's not easy, as I've said, but you can do it. So if you believe you can, let me know. Or if you think that I'm still being unrealistic or I still don't get it, let me know, because I can give you more examples of how to make this very, very possible. But keep pushing and keep going, keep persevering, and you will get there. Now, whilst you're sort of thinking about your questions and putting your questions down, by all means do. I want us to move on to having cultivating a heart of gratitude. I wanted to speak on this topic today because it's really easy to complain. and by all means we would have all done that, all of us, including myself. It's easy to complain, especially now in the times that we're in. It's easy to complain about how the kids are frustrating you. It's easy to complain about how you're struggling with finding this work-life balance now that people are working from home. It's easy to complain about how you're running out of money. It's easy to complain about how you're fed up of being at home all the time. It's easy to complain that you're running out of ideas of what to do with your family, because that is the reality of things. So naturally, it is easy to complain about them because that is our current reality. You're trying to have this business conference call and the kids are running around screaming. So your brain will naturally say, I am so sick and tired of this. I'm fed up of this. I don't want to do it anymore. But we just have to cultivate a heart of gratitude. What is a heart of gratitude? It's a heart that says, despite the circumstances I find myself in, I'm going to choose to be grateful. I'm going to choose to be happy. Despite the fact that the kids are driving me up the wall, I'm going to choose to be happy and I'm going to choose to be grateful. Despite the fact that, we're running out of food, and we're not quite sure when the next amount of money is going to come in, I'm going to choose to be happy and I'm going to choose to be grateful. Now, it's easy to say that, but how do we begin to do that? I want to give us a brief illustration that I'm sure many of you have heard, and I'm not even sure I'm going to say it all right, but I'll summarize it. It's a story about how there is this young boy staring out of the window, and he's disabled, and he's staring out of the window and he says, I wish I could be like that man who walks, that boy who's playing around, playing football, using his legs, kicking the ball around. And then you zoom in and that young boy is staring at a guy on a bicycle and he's like, oh man, I wish I had a bicycle so I didn't have to walk everywhere, and it's so tiring and exhausting walking everywhere. I wish. And then the guy on the bicycle sees a car driving past and he's like, oh gosh, I hate my bicycle. It's so slow. It takes me forever to get to my destination, and I wish I had a car that could get me to my destination. And the car sees a train driving past and it's like, oh, people on the train are so lucky. They don't have to drive. They don't have to be alert. They can just sit on the train and they can get to that destination. And everyone is choosing to look at someone else's predicament and saying that that predicament they're in is better than theirs, and how they wish they were in someone else's shoes and not their own. But if you reverse back, ultimately, the person who is in their house, wheelchair bound, merely wish they could walk. You understand? And everyone is wanting something else that's going to make them happier. But the mere fact that you are alive, the last person would say, gosh, would be looking down from 6 foot under, staring at that casket saying, man, I wish I was alive. All the things I would change, all the things I would be grateful for, all the things I would be so much happier for if I could have just one last chance of being alive. And here we are. We're complaining. We're complaining that, oh, are we eating rice again? We're complaining that my job is stressful, yet there is someone who wishes they could even do half of the job that you're doing. We're complaining that the kids are stressing us, but many, many families are crying, praying, wishing, praying to God that if I could just have one child. And you're looking at your 2, you're looking at your 3, they're making too much noise and that's stressing you, and you're frustrated and you're failing to be grateful. Let's cultivate a heart of gratefulness. Let's be mindful of the things that we have and stop focusing on what we don't have. Let's be happy and show gratitude towards the things that we can do and stop stressing about the things that we cannot do. People are putting themselves in the most stress-rich conditions because they are doing too much wishful thinking, rather than saying to yourself, I'm alive, I'm breathing, and I'm grateful for it. I have water that I can drink, clean water that I can drink. And some people can't even boast of that. And you can go a step further and you can say, oh, I even have water that can wash my body. And most people can't even boast of that. I don't want us to sort of overstretch the truth or overstretch the realities we're in, but I can guarantee you that whoever you are, if you are watching me right now, there is at least one thing that you can think of that you are grateful for. There are people losing loved ones left, right, and center to this COVID-19. And they're struggling to keep that act together. Yet we are complaining about the inability to go outside and shop. Like, seriously, just think about it. You are complaining that you can't open your business for another day and someone has lost both their parents. You are complaining that, the wachi seller across the road didn't come. You're so frustrated. COVID-19 is ruining your ability to have wachi. And there's people sick, struggling to catch a breath right this very minute. Put things into perspective. Put your life into perspective. Put your conditions into perspective of what other people are going through right now, and understand that for sure you will be better off than a million people out there. You'll be better off than 1 billion people out there. Even the person watching me right now or listening to me right now who thinks they're the worst off, I can guarantee you that you are better off in some way, shape, or form than your neighbor. You're looking at people living the life, living it large, and you're thinking that you want to be in that place, but you don't know what kind of struggles that they're going through. So let's just take a moment and be grateful. Let's be grateful. It's much easier than you think, When you're wanting to complain or when you're frustrated, in the midst of your frustration, just stop. Take a deep breath and remind yourself of all the things you have that you are to be grateful for right this very moment. I'm going to give us 20 seconds, whoever is watching right now, 20 seconds to just list 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things that you ought to be grateful for. Just go ahead. Just go ahead. You will soon realize it. Those beautiful children that stress the life out of you, if one of them was to get sick this very moment and it was quiet in your house, you would be praying, God, bring me back the noise. Bring me back the shouting, the stop it, the leave it alone, don't do that, bring it back. Bring it back. And I will be grateful for it. For all of you stressing about work right now, stressing about how much pressure is on your shoulders right now. Take it one day at a time. Realize that we are all in the same boat all around the world. We are in unprecedented times. And bosses and supervisors need to be understanding that the way we are working at home is not going to be the same as the way we're able to work in the office. We have our kids around us who can't go to school. We have husbands, wives, family members around us that just make it very different from how we operate in the office. But we are doing our very best. I'm not saying use it as an excuse to not get on with work. I'm not saying use it as an excuse to not give your very best if you can give it. But understand that there is much more to be grateful for than there is to complain about. Don't overstress yourself. When you're thinking about things and it's all getting a little bit too much, take a break, take a nap, go for a brief walk outside if it's permitted where you are. Go stand on your balcony, go to your garden, poke your head out of your window and just take a deep breath and tell yourself, it's okay. I'm going to be okay. It feels extremely overwhelming right now, but I'm going to be okay. Everything is just going to work out just right. put on some music that makes you feel good, start moving, start swaying, start singing along, and before you know it, the things that are stressing you will begin to melt away. And you will realize that it's really not all that bad. It's really not all that stressful and horrible as you have it in mind. We have a lot to be grateful for, but we have to cultivate a heart of gratefulness, because by default, naturally, our natural beings want to complain. That's the default. So it's going to take an extra effort for you to actually find yourself being grateful for things. That's why I say cultivate. What does cultivating mean? It means working, toiling, digging up the earth, planting that seed, watering it, shaking things up, watching it, nurturing it to ensure that that seed you want to grow grows accordingly to how you wish for it to grow. It is an effort, but an effort that's ultimately going to pay off much better than complaining ever did. When we find ourselves in a happy place, when we show gratefulness, it releases endorphins. Endorphins make us feel happy, makes us feel better. So the happier state you place yourself in, the happier you will be. Think about it for a second. Do you find that, when you're anxious about something, even if it's something really small and minute, the more anxious you get about it, the worse you find yourself? A good example is like, maybe you're running late for something. You need to get to a meeting and you're running late. So rather than taking it easy and just, slowly or steadily working through things, you now start rushing. When you're rushing, you knock over the jar. Now you have to sweep up the glass. And then whilst you're sweeping up the glass, you cut your leg. And now you've cut your leg, you're even more frustrated. You're shouting, you're screaming, I'm late. Now you have to find a bandage, change your dress because there's blood all over it and whatnot. And the cycle just continues, and we just become in a much worse state than we originally started off in. But when you are grateful, or when you put yourself in a happy place and you're like, okay, I know I'm late, but the reason why I'm late is understandable. If I steadily continue, have my bath, dress up, speed it up, but don't be frustrated, don't be stressed. Before you know it, you're out of the door. Before you know it, the train arrived earlier than you had expected. Before you know it, you're in your meeting, and you're even waiting for the people, you're having to wait for the people who you were having that meeting with to come and catch up with you. That's two big differences in the outcome of the day. All because you changed your perspective, all because you chose to cultivate a heart that was grateful. So, honestly, let's be grateful. There is so much to be grateful for. I'm reading in the comments that there are a lot of things we have to be grateful for. And our life, exactly. Life itself is the number one thing, because without it, we wouldn't even have the chance to complain. So there is a lot we can be grateful for. So yeah, make a list. Again, this is if you're struggling, some people, I won't put it, I'm not taking for granted that it's difficult to get out of a certain way of thinking, especially when every day you're home and you're dealing with everything, all at once, and there seems to be no sense of relief. Write it down, make a list, write down a tall list of all the things you should be grateful for. And when you feel stressed, when you feel upset, when you feel highly strung, take that list and read it out loud. Put yourself in a peaceful place and read it out loud. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my children. I'm grateful for my roof over my head. I'm grateful for the food in my fridge. I'm grateful for the clothes on my body. I'm grateful for the air that I breathe. If you're even struggling, maybe some of those things are not on your list, but then remind yourself, take a deep breath in and remind yourself that right now, right this very moment, COVID-19 is not permitting people to do one of the easiest things that we take for granted, to take in a deep breath and be grateful for it, that you can do it. Okay, let's be grateful. Let's be grateful. So finally, I wanted to talk to us about adaptability, because in line with some of the examples that I gave about being grateful, when you find yourself in a situation where you're not used to, like with homeschooling children and working at the same time and having all of that going on in the same environment, it's easy to become really stressed. It's really easy to become frustrated. But when you start being flexible, when you start adapting your mind, when you start adapting the way you work, you'll find that actually, you know, I'm much I'm much better at doing things than I thought I was. By all means, initially you might find it being extremely stressful, but when you give it a go and with perseverance, try again, try again. If at first you don't succeed, dust yourself off and try again. You'll find that I am very adaptable. At first, with most places, most countries, everyone was going crazy, shopping and bulk shopping. What do you call it? I'm forgetting the word. It's not bulk shopping, but I've forgotten the word. But I think you know what I mean. Where you're buying way too much. Panic buying. I think that's what. Yeah, panic buying. Thinking that I need this, and the crazy whole toilet roll saga. Only God knows what that was about. But quickly you find yourself, you think you can't survive being at home even for a few days, and then you're like, wow, a week has gone by and I'm still here, and 2 weeks have gone by and I'm still here, and 3 weeks and 4 weeks, and for some of us it's now our sixth week and we're still here, and we didn't drop dead, and we didn't need all that toilet roll all at once, and we didn't have to go hungry, because we have adapted to our circumstances. We have adapted to the situation we find ourselves in. So you need to be able to adapt to your situation. You're now having to homeschool your children, something that you just didn't have to do previously. Some of us have never had to teach our children. Maybe you're the dad and that was mom's role, or you're the mom and that was dad's role to just do the homework with them. And now you're literally having to be algebra teacher, history teacher, geography teacher, art teacher, and everything in between. And you feel like, I can't do it, but yet you adapt. You realize that, okay, I'm not an expert in XYZ, but I have a good old search engine to help me along. I can seek some advice from such and such group, or I can find a resource here, I can find a resource there. And yes, you're not a qualified teacher, but you have adapted and you're making it work somehow. You used to be cooking the same dish all the time because you knew that, okay, that would be the one meal they eat only in the evening, because obviously everyone's gone to work. So it's okay if you come back home to the same old jollof rice. And now you're finding that no, everyone's eating 6 times a day for some reason. But you adapt, and people are learning how to make buffets. People are learning how to bake cakes. People are learning how to make new, innovative, and exciting salads and soups and all sorts. And you're finding that, oh my goodness, that's something else I can add to my CV. I realize that I am a great pastry chef. I realize now that I can be a teacher. I realize now that I don't need to run to the doctor every 2 seconds, especially since, being around hospitals or clinics are not safe environments. So you realize that I can deal with this bump and graze myself. Let's just have a look. Okay, let me find some aloe vera. Let me do a little bit of this. And before you know it, healed, sorted. There are a lot of things that you can use this time to actually build your skills and become a lot more resourceful than what you used to be, simply because you're adapting with the times. We are far more intelligent creatures than we give ourselves credit for. We are better at what we do than we give ourselves credit for. And you just have to allow yourself room to adapt to the circumstances, room to adapt to the times that we are in right now. For some things, it's not going to be as easy. Some things will require more effort, but in all the 3 things that I've spoken about today, whether it's perseverance, whether it's cultivating a heart of gratitude, or whether it's being adaptable, it's to do with sacrifice. And I'm not talking about sacrifice as in bringing the lamb to the slaughter, but I'm talking about giving up something in order to gain a skill, or in order to gain something that you really want more than the something you're giving up. And for a lot of us, that's going to be time. A lot of us, it's going to be having to pick up a book despite the fact that maybe you don't enjoy reading. For a lot of us, it's going to be having to do a piece of research despite the fact that usually you like to take the easy way out and just give it to someone else to do. You simply just have to do it yourself now. So if you want to find yourself in a better place, if you want to move forward, if you want to be able to be successful during this time period and beyond, you're just going to have to sacrifice. You're going to have to persevere. You're going to have to adapt, and you're going to have to be grateful for where you are at right now, what you have right now, who you are right now. You have to be grateful for it, because complaining is just not going to solve your problems. I remember hearing one time that I won't say it as well as I heard it, but it was something like complaining has solved an issue or has solved a problem as well as bubble gum has cleaned your clothes. Exactly. It makes no sense. So why complain if complaining isn't going to fix the issue? It's not. It's really not. Just recognize it. I'm not saying don't recognize or don't sort of own up to what's happening around you. By all means, you're experiencing it. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. Acknowledge it and move on. Choose the alternative route from complaining. Choose the alternative route from being miserable. Choose the alternative route from giving up. Because giving up will lead you to regret. Complaining will lead you to feeling miserable and dismayed. And being rigid, not being adaptable, is going to ensure that you are not moving forward. So that's really it, to be able to thrive right now during this difficult period that we're all in and beyond. This is not just a message for COVID-19 times. This is a message that's going to keep you going regardless of where you are at in life and what you're facing. In order to be able to thrive rather than just survive, you really need to become an expert at those three things: perseverance, cultivating a heart of gratitude, and adaptability. Those three things will ensure that you are thriving and not just surviving. Thrive, don't just survive. Thrive, don't just survive. Thrive, don't just survive. So, in the next 20 seconds, remind me of the three things. Anyone, write it down. Remind me of the three things. What are the three things that are going to cause us to be able to thrive and not just survive? Let's see if you've been paying attention. Let's see if you've been listening, and share it with me right now. Oh, no one's been listening. No one's been paying attention. No one's been focusing on what we've been doing. Okay, I'll help you out. Yeah, you want to ensure that you're persevering. That's number one. So I've given you a clue. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Essie. Jet, adaptability. You need to be adaptable. You need to have a heart of gratitude. Exactly. You need to be able to persevere. You need to be able to have a heart or cultivate a heart of gratitude, and you need to be able to adapt. And once you're able to do those things, what will you be able to do? Thrive and not just survive. Honestly, try it. Try it. Give yourself about a week or two. Put down some goals and say to yourself, this week, from this date to this date, I'm going to really put these things into practice. Go back and rewatch this live video if you missed some of the points, and see if it's not going to make a huge difference in your life. We want to be able to do just so much more than just survive. We want to really be able to thrive. So that's it for me today when it comes to the topics that I wanted to share with you. I'll give you a moment to ask your questions. I'm so sorry. Last week I realized that I'd switched off my ability to read the comments, so there were questions being asked and I didn't see them. So today I promise I am going to leave time to answer your questions. So by all means ask them. But whilst you're putting your questions together, I just want to remind you, if you have enjoyed today's little session, do follow Impart and Impact on Instagram, on Facebook. If you are a woman, if you are a lady, you definitely want to be following Atana Women. That's where you can find all the wonderful bits of information to make sure you are succeeding in your womanhood journey. You know, from beauty tips to parenting to financial management to inspiration and motivation, you will find it there. If you are running out of ideas during this lockdown period and you want to figure out things that you should be making and creating in the kitchen, you can follow Belinda Boadu Cooking. There's some great cook along videos for you over there. And what else? And yeah, if you're still wanting to sort of keep yourself really fashionable and get the latest beautiful pieces, you definitely want to be following Bella's Blessing. We are able to still deliver pretty much worldwide. It takes a bit longer, obviously, but from your creams to your natural creams, natural hair creams, face creams, shea butter, coconut, whatever, to your earrings, your necklaces, and beautiful Afrocentric clothing, you can check us out on Bella's Blessing. So yeah, just checking through to see if we've had any questions that I can answer. If not, and they come to you later, by all means feel free to still ask and I'll address them in the comment section. But if there are no questions, I definitely want to thank you all so very much for taking the time to join me here today. I know I don't take for granted that there are plenty of interesting things that we could be doing right now and interesting things that are fighting for our time and attention, but you chose to be here with me today. I hope that our session today has been useful, has been helpful, and has motivated and inspired you to do whatever it takes to reach your goals. And by all means, check out all my previous editions. We are in our second season now, so we had, roughly speaking, about 15 or so episodes in our first season. So if you want to catch up, there's plenty of it for you to catch up on, and we're now in our third edition, now in our second season. So feel free to check out our videos. But otherwise, I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you so much. I'm exercising my right to show my gratefulness to you all for joining me today. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm now trying to keep to a much better schedule. Hopefully, I'll see you again in the next 2 weeks, fingers crossed. But otherwise, have a wonderful, wonderful week. Be grateful. Continue to persevere and adapt to the changing circumstances that we find ourselves in now. Have a wonderful week all. Bye.